Hey YouTube, this is Noah from Sparksight. We're a video production team that creates lots of cool content, and our goal is to make video easy. Today I want to jump in and give you guys an update on the world of PC hardware. When we made our last video on the different kinds of parts to look for when putting together a computer for editing, it wasn't long after that AMD decided to release its new line of processors. And many of you pointed out in the comments that we probably should have waited a little bit for this to happen before we made that video, as this new line is just so good that we ought to have just waited and recommended that over any of the other things that were currently available. However, as I hope you'll soon see, it's not that simple. One of the main reasons it's taken so long for us to put this video together is because I wanted to get my hands on one of these processors myself and test it out. But so far, that's been all but impossible. Buying new PC components right now is, let's just say, a really frustrating endeavor. So I finally decided, okay, let's just get the data together into a video and put it out there. But make sure people know the larger context of what's going on and maybe give a few tips on how you can get your hands on one of these new chips yourself. So that's what we're gonna do. Last time we talked about the Intel 10th gen processors and the Ryzen 3rd gen processors, comparing all of their price and performance stats. Today, we're going to add in the new Ryzen 4th generation of processors, which is confusingly also known as the Ryzen 5000 series. This new lineup includes the Ryzen 5 5600X, a 6-core processor for about $300, the Ryzen 7 5800X, which is an 8-core processor for about $450, the Ryzen 9 5900X, which is a 12-core processor for about $550, and the Ryzen 9 5950X, a 16-core processor for about $800. As you can probably see, there has been a slight bump of about $50 across the board. This is accompanied by a bump in performance as well. The core counts are the same as last generation, but once again, like we always say, core count is not everything. What matters is raw performance in the applications you actually use, and these new processors certainly deliver on that front. So let's talk about that. One of the main hangups people have historically had with AMD processors is their lacking performance in applications that only really used a few of their cores. But that concern is a thing of the past. AMD is now dominating in both applications that use lots of cores and those that only use a few. We found that the best way to really understand the value of these chips is to plot their performance against their price in a visual way. The y-axis will be the benchmark score given by Puget Systems, and the x-axis will be the price. You'll notice that that's in quotations. We'll come back to why that's the case later. For Adobe Premiere, the results are basically exactly what you would expect. A nice steady curve. The more expensive the processor, the more powerful it is. If we look just at the AMD processors, you'll see that each one is a little bit faster than the one it is replacing from the previous generation, usually by about 5%. Since they are also a little bit more expensive, the price to performance here actually seems to dip a little bit. On its own, this probably seems a little disappointing, but remember, we're just talking about Premiere in particular right now. This 5% bump isn't the only thing we should even be taking into consideration. In the past year, Premiere has been updated aggressively to provide more and more GPU-based hardware acceleration. Intel used to have a huge advantage here, utilizing a technology called QuickSync, which basically was using the integrated graphics on their processors to speed up encoding and decoding of certain types of footage. But this advantage is gone now, because virtually any modern graphics card can do this job as well now. The result is that basically any systems containing modern AMD processors have seen a boost of up to 30% from where they were just a year ago. The processor itself has not changed. It's just that Premiere is getting better at utilizing the resources at its disposal, and it's about time. So if we look at just the AMD processors compared to their similarly priced Intel counterparts, the situation becomes much more clear. Throughout the whole chart, AMD is beating Intel from anywhere between 12 to 20%. The only exception is the 5800X and the 10900K, which are effectively tied. Just taking a step back, it's still the case that the Threadripper cards deliver the overall best performance in Premiere, but they are way more expensive. And take a look at the 5950X. It is right at the cusp of that kind of performance for significantly cheaper. For their respective price points, the 5900X and the 5950X are just insanely good deals. If we turn over to After Effects, we get a result that is, wait, what? This is a huge break from what has been the case for years and years and years. The 10900K was the go-to pick for tons of After Effects workstations, but it's being beaten by the lowest performing and cheapest chip from the 5000 series. So unlike Premiere, this is where the new AMD processors really shine. They haven't just closed the gap on single-threaded performance, they've leaped ahead. It's obvious that at any of these price points, if After Effects is a program you spend a lot of time in, that the 5800X and especially the 5900X and the 5950X are fantastic CPUs to go with. It's also obvious here that the Threadripper chips really just aren't even on the table. So if you're like us and you regularly work in both Premiere and After Effects, then the new line of Ryzen cards is looking really spicy. I myself was super hyped about these new parts and was eagerly waiting to try and buy one for myself, but then everywhere I looked was sold out, sold out, sold out. And this has been most often the case for those top two chips, the 5900X and the 5950X, which are the two hottest and most popular ones, for reasons that I hope are pretty obvious after all that we just went through. This supply issue isn't anything new for the launch of a new hot product, but it is weird that it's been going on for so long. And it's not just AMD CPUs. The new graphics cards from both AMD and Nvidia, as well as the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, are all absurdly hard to get right now. Why is this the case? Well, it's a combination of a few things. There's a worldwide silicon shortage, COVID is slowing down production, way higher demand than usual because a whole lot of people are getting into PC building and gaming as a hobby this year, and tons of people are working from home. And perhaps the most talked about of all is scalping. Scalping is a practice where individuals buy a bunch of a new hot product and then resell it for a much higher price. If the demand is high enough and the supply is low enough, this can be an extremely lucrative practice. They do this with the assistance of computer programs that automatically scan every website selling the product, and then the moment it is available for purchase, it adds it to the cart and buys it. This has led to products selling out within seconds. So while you'll have a very hard time finding these parts at their advertised price, you'll have a much easier time finding them for quite a bit more on eBay and similar sites. A 5950X for over $1,100 is not so much of a good deal anymore. So what is there to do? Well, you could just wait, but honestly, it's unclear how much longer that will have to be. These chips came out in November, 4 months later, and we still can't buy a 5900X for its advertised price pretty much anywhere. Alternatively, if you need something right now and don't want to wait, then I'd look towards the 5800X or the 10900K. These two chips trade blows, and as of right now, the 5800X is usually a lot easier to find at close to the right price. The 10900K and its oh-so-slightly cut-down younger brother, the 10850K, are both still available all over the place, and sometimes for a fair discount. These processors didn't suddenly become bad just because some new ones were released. If, however, you really want to try and buy one of these new cards, then here are a few tips. Unless you have a Micro Center near you, you aren't going to be getting any of these parts from an in-person store. Almost all of these sales are happening online. The three main places they are being sold are Amazon, Newegg, and Best Buy. You won't be able to beat the rush if you're waiting for an email notification for item in stock from one of these stores. You'll need to be updated instantly when new stock drops. The Stock Drops Discord and similar ones are a fantastic place to get this information. It will send you a notification to your phone or computer whenever your desired item is available for purchase. There are also several streams here on YouTube and on Twitch where people are running their own auto-refreshing bots that will play an alert sound whenever something goes in stock. You'll need your credit card and shipping information all set up on each of these stores so that you won't have to deal with any of that when it comes time to actually purchase. You won't have time to put them in manually. Trust me, it does not work. Make sure you're logged in as well, obviously. And if you're using your phone, try and use the app for that particular store. There are lots of reports of people saying that this can be much faster, especially if you have Apple Pay set up on your phone. If you don't want to just be on edge the whole time, another option is Newegg's lottery system that they are calling Newegg Shuffle. You'll have like a 3-hour window during the day to select what you want. Then, if you win, they give you another large window of time that evening to check out. It's much lower pressure, you just have to remember to enter each day. It does kind of make me laugh though, because this is literally winning a lottery where you are trying to win the privilege to pay full price for a computer part. What a strange world we live in. I hope this will change in the near future and the supply of all of this new technology becomes a non-issue, because these new parts really do look phenomenal. Either way, I hope all of this information was helpful. If there are any questions you still have, feel free to comment below. Like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Intel's 11th generation of processors aren't that far away, so we'll be sure to cover those when they come out as well. And I guess we'll just have to see if the average person has any chance of buying them. Either way, thanks for watching.